Everything is awesome, especially, well, Awesome Con. Awesome Con 2014 begins today in Washington, D.C., over at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Joining us right now, the president of Awesome Con 2014, Ben Penrod. Mr. Penrod, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Everything is awesome.
Now, let's talk about today's big event there with superheroes at Capitol Hill first, and then we'll talk more about the Awesome Con event itself. You're trying to break a world's record of superheroes all assembled in one place. Is that the deal?
Yes. Let me make sure we get it right. It's the Guinness World Records folks are very specific. So it's the largest gathering of people dressed as comic book characters.
Oh, comic book characters. So theoretically, they could come as like Richie Rich. It's not superheroes; it's comic book characters. Okay.
Yeah.
So Mitt Romney could show up. Sorry, just making a little joke there politically. All right. So talk me through this. What's going to happen today?
So we're gonna show up. I'm gonna get there around 11 and start setting everything up, and hopefully we have at least 1,531 people dressed as comic book characters around noon when we start counting, and we'll get through the count hopefully as quickly as possible, and we'll break this record.
All right, so now when you do this, how do you plan something like, how do you reach out to people and say, all right, all you people who dress up in comic book, costumes, this is where you need to be at the appointed time in the appointed place so we can how do you reach those people?
Well, we run Awesome Con, so one big part of the comic book convention sort of scene is the cosplay, the costume play. So we've actually got a huge network of people who dress in costumes and go to conventions all the time. We use Facebook and get the word out, and hopefully a few people will stop by in last year's Halloween costumes who might not already be into the costuming scene. And we'll be able to get this record broken.
I'm guessing you're pretty confident you're going to do this, but in case any of you are concerned that we're not going to break this record, let me just give you a little more inspiration. Right now, the current record, which was set April 19th, 2011, was set at a place called World Joyland, which is a Chinese theme park. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, are you going to let the Chinese beat us at this? Hell no, I say. You get your comic book superhero costume on, and you get down there where's they supposed to gather again?
It's your patriotic duty.
It is. Do it for America. Do it for Captain America, for that matter.
Well, who is the most popular, character at these things?
Shoot, I think because the movie just came out, I think it might be Captain America. I think it's really appropriate.
And now let's talk about the convention itself. Awesome Con starts today, and it goes through Sunday. You picked Easter weekend for this. I guess it's an interesting diversion for people. And you're going to have some stars from some pretty famous movies there. Who are you looking at here?
We've got Cary Elwes, who was in The Princess Bride. He was Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Right.
Which is a pretty big deal. We've got Sean Astin. He's been in, zillions of movies, probably most well-known as Rudy or as Sam from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right. He was the Hobbit that accompanied
absolutely.
Frodo. Yeah, okay.
We've got Billie Piper, who is Rose on Doctor Who. I think 99% of people who've never heard of Doctor Who don't know who she is, but if you watch Doctor Who, it's a big deal.
Well, and let me focus this to our core listenership. You've got Dirk Benedict from the A-Team. Now you're talking.
Absolutely.
Face from A-Team is going to be
I just love
there.
it when a plan comes together like that.
Exactly.
Hey, listen, here's the thing, though. I watched this show, The Big Bang Theory. I find it to be an amusing show, but, these are guys who do this thing. They dress up in costumes. They go to comic book stores, and they're sort of looked at in a humorous way as being, well, I hate to use the G word, but, people say people who do this are geeky. So what do you say to those people who sort of look down their nose at the crazy people, those geeks who all dress up in the comic book character uniforms?
I think it's gone really mainstream. I self-identify as a geek, so I'm proud of geekdom, as you might say. I think it's completely mainstream. I think they said Captain America was the highest-grossing movie ever in the month of April. So it's not just
It's not just for geeks anymore.
It's not just geeks; it's everybody.
Our guest here is Ben Penrod. He's the president of AwesomeCon. AwesomeCon is this weekend, and you mentioned the cosplay thing. Of course, today you're doing the thing with the comic book characters and trying to break the record. But I got to, you listen, you're in the nation's capital here. Everything is shot through the prism of American politics. And just recently, we saw this story a couple of weeks ago about a House candidate out of Florida, a Republican, who there was a picture revealed of he and his wife dressed up like the Flash and I guess Mrs. Flash. I didn't know there was a Mrs. Flash. And he's proud of it. He says, yes, this is a hobby of mine, and I go to these cosplay events. Let me ask you something, and I don't want you to get too political. I don't want you to get in trouble, but just objectively speaking, you're an expert. When it comes to cosplay and comic book enthusiasm, who is going to be more inclined to do this kind of thing, a Republican or a Democrat?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think generally the cosplay enthusiasts are younger, but I've actually seen it. I've seen everybody. I've seen every kind of person you could imagine represented. I think in general you're talking about people who are college aged, maybe make up 60 to 70% of kind of the cosplay community, but that other 30% it ranges from young teenagers to people who are in their 50s and 60s who may have been doing this since the first San Diego Comic-Con 40 years ago.
So it sounds like this is a bipartisan thing. Sounds to me like we could actually do a lot of healing in our nation if maybe the U.S. Senate showed up in superhero costumes.
Hold on a minute, because you know what? I know a senator who is a huge fan of the character Batman.
Really?
He collects Batman materials. He has an actual authentic movie Batman mask.
Reveal it. Who is it?
Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont.
Jeez.
He is a huge Batman fan. Now, you've got to get Senator Leahy there.
Yeah, he can help us break the record.
All right. Now, Senator Leahy, do your patriotic duty there.
Senator
you got to
Leahy,
get out there. We want to see that.
We want to see you in the...
And Barbara Boxer in a Wonder Woman outfit.
He's got a good chin. You see, you got to have a good chin to wear the Batman mask.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You can't. If you don't have a weak chin, don't show up as Batman.
You got to talk like this.
You got to talk like this. Okay, so here's my question. What are you going as?
I'm working, so I'm not. I can't.
Oh, come on!
Come on!
Oh, no!
You're wimping out.
I can't believe it.
So no, they won't count me because I'm going to be on the outside directing people in.
All right. And Larry, if you were to go, who would you go as?
I've never really thought of that. I don't really identify with a specific superhero. I'd have to give it some. I guess Batman would be the better one. Although I'm really more of a Marvel guy.
I would go with Iron Man.
Would you?
I think that character is totally cool.
And the good thing about it is no one would see your face.
Nobody would see my face.
Because it's completely masked. I would go as Hulk, but the green stuff takes a long time to get rid of. Really quickly, I want to reemphasize this is happening today on the mall, and it's got to be a comic book hero. Because let's face it, a lot of people think Trekkers go out dressed in the Star Trek uniforms, and those look kind of cool sometimes. But that would not count, right? Because Star Trek is not comic book.
No, it's only characters who first appeared in comic books. So if they first appeared on TV, if they first appeared on TV or video games, even if a comic book was created later based on that TV show or video game, it wouldn't count.
I might go as Jughead then. Now that if it's just a comic book, because Archie would work.
Well, you don't really even have to dress up.
Exactly. That's why I thought it would work. All right, Ben Penrod. I can't believe you're wimping out and not. Just because you're working, it doesn't mean you can't be in costume, Penrod. You've sort of disappointed us.
Okay, well, I got a few hours to go find one.
All right, there it is. Ben Penrod.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks for joining us. He's the president of AwesomeCon 2014. Again, it's this weekend. Starts today. Everything is awesome. I want to see